in life, in career, in religion, even in our social lives. And yet we know that if these biases are eliminated or limited, women will be able to contribute a lot to our socio-economic development. And so today we are going to discuss how to break these biases and how to forge ahead. Today we are going to be live on GTV, on Multi TV, City TV, and Net2 television. Of course, we'd also be live on social media handles. You can check on R. Akufo-Addo on Facebook and on Instagram, Nan Akufo-Addo on Facebook and Instagram, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology on Facebook, knust.gh on Instagram, and on Snapchat.
Our very own Dr. Kweju Agri knew the importance of empowering women when he proclaimed that if you educate or empower a woman, one empowers a nation. It is refreshing that we are all together here celebrating International Women's Day today, after 2 long years away due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And may I use this opportunity to remind all of us to remember to keep the protocols as have been described. I must say I'm excited to see a lot of young people here today. Indeed, there is hope. The future is filled with hope. And today we're going to engage these young minds in discussing gender bias and how we can act collectively. All of us can work together to break these biases. The program is
Good morning. Please, with all respects, let us all rise up and pray. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth, Father of all creations, we thank you for this day which you have made. We thank you for the creation of women to complete the works of your hands. We thank you for the celebration of the International Women's Day. We thank you for the journeying mercies granted us, most especially the First Lady and all other people who are present. We bless you for the gathering here at this time and at this great hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We pray, Lord, as we gather in your presence, we will be able to understand ourselves and come out with our God-given potentials as we discuss how biases against women can be broken in our Ghanaian society. Grant us the ability to advocate for persons who have the power to change these biases, Lord. Help our men and women to understand that we can all build a better society if women are restored to their rightful positions and allowed to operate without hindrances and without discrimination. Father, Lord, we pray for all women in leadership roles. We pray for the executive, for the visionary, and to be visionary and bold and to take right decisions to impact growth. We pray for the legislature, especially women, to bring the wisdom to bear and for enactment of good laws. Father, we are praying for all other women in leadership, and we are praying for our First Lady. We pray that, Lord, you be with him, grant him the spirit of discernment to be able to help and assist our president to work hard and bring our nation to a good place. Father, Lord, we pray for our young people of today, especially the women, with every strength that they need to be able to live to glorify to your name. Father, Lord, as we gather here, we ask us that you see us through this program successfully. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please let's have our seats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Nkansa, for the prayers. And at this juncture, I'm very pleased to be introducing the first female Vice Chancellor for the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, especially on this day, a very special day set aside all over the world to promote the advancement of women and women in leadership. Kindly join me with a round of applause, and indeed, shall we stand in honor? Shall we stand in honor to welcome Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon to the podium to give us the welcome address. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Your Excellency, the Second Lady of our dear nation, Mrs. Samira Baumia. Your Royal Highness, Lady Julia, the current and the first female Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you. I think you can do that. You can do that. Thank you very much. Honorable Mrs. Akosia Frema Osei Opari, MP Ayawaso. She's saying I shouldn't add all that. West Wigan constituency. Other ministers present, the regional minister, Shanti region, the Deputy Minister of Finance, Honorable Mrs. Abina Osei Asari, MP, Atiwa East. Other deputy ministers herein present, DCs, MMDCs, Nananum, the registrar, provost of colleges, deans, directors, distinguished guests, staff and students, and indeed all our gallant and great women of substance who we celebrate today, herein present in this great hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and those joining us via the virtual space, our dear friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a real honor and a privilege for me to extend a very, very warm welcome to you on behalf of the governing council of our great university, management, and indeed staff and students on this auspicious occasion of celebrating the International Women's Day on the theme, Breaking the Bias. A very, very special appreciation goes to you, Your Excellency, our dear First Lady, for choosing the Ashanti region, the land of the golden stool, and for that matter, the best university in Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, to host thank you very much, to host this very, very important event. Madam, we are truly, truly grateful for the honor done us, and we are indeed here. Thank you very much. Just briefly, as we are aware, all around the world, the achievements of women are being celebrated today to mark the International Women's Day, which began in 1911. The day was born, as we are all aware, of the inhumane working conditions and treatment of female garment workers in the U.S. several decades ago. The day offers opportunities to look back on efforts that have been made in the past, learn lessons, and plan to forge ahead in the struggle to attain the ultimate goal of gender parity. It is also to celebrate the efforts of our great women front bearers who started the age-old struggle that has come to stay. Thus, today is an opportunity to showcase women's achievement in the world, and rightly so. As we celebrate and salute all our great women of substance who have sacrificed and continue to sacrifice so much in our homes, communities, societies, countries, and on the globe at large, the day is also used to highlight the work that remains to be done in order to achieve gender parity for ultimate global growth and progress. Let us just take a quick stroll down memory lane and examine how the themes for the International Women's Day celebrations for the past few years have panned out. And I can start from 2018, where we stood on Press for Progress. 2019, we said balance for better. 2020, I am generation equality, realizing women's rights. In 2021, even in the midst of the COVID, we found a space to say women in leadership, achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world. And here we are today with breaking the bias. For all these years and many more, there has been a strong call to action to press forward and progress gender parity. By and large, the global message remains very, very simple. All must be done to motivate and unite friends, colleagues, and whole communities to think, act, and be gender intelligent and inclusive in every sphere of our lives, emphasizing the idea that a gender-balanced world benefits everyone, both men and women, both economically and socially. And indeed, it is up to all of us, everyone, men and women alike, to make this happen. The question on the table this year is, are we all ready to imagine a gender equal world? A world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where differences are valued and celebrated. The encouragement is that, yes, indeed, we can. Together, we can work towards the eventual achievement of gender parity and champion women's and girls' rights. Collectively, we can all break the bias. Needless to say, that certainly some biases are overt and is often visible for all to see. For example, the George Floyd one. The other one that sometimes eludes us is the covert one, which is unconscious, unintended, implicit, unexamined, that we all inherently are capable of exhibiting to some degree in our day-to-day interactions. And those are the ones that we must look out for. How do these manifest? The individual who acts with bias sees through a distorted lens and engages with an imagined individual, an expectation, not with the real one. These biases can be seen as violence to the soul because it attacks not only a person's circumstances and physical situation, but it particularly attacks a person's sense of worth. It starts from childhood and it goes on and on and on. Family, school, workplace, society, everywhere. Every individual, ladies and gentlemen, has some level of uniqueness that must be appreciated and honored by all. Often it is said that we must not look at what divides us, but what we have in common. Paradoxically, in order to attempt an end to all biases, we ought to dwell on our differences, and respect those differences. Your Excellency, I must say that this is something that everybody's hand is needed on deck to be able to appreciate and work on. It is not a question of a women's thing. It is a human problem. It is a human problem, and we must all look at it through that lens and do everything we can to ensure that every human being is able to develop to his or her maximum potential. I always say that if the section of society that makes close to 50%, 50% of the population is not given the opportunity to maximize their potential. What we are basically saying is that I have two hands, but I have decided that I want to tie one behind me and use only one. And I don't think that that is economical enough. And we hope and pray that as we celebrate today, we will all do everything we can to ensure that men, women, girls, boys, everybody, all hands are brought on deck to develop our dear nation, to build our dear country. We should not deny any group of persons this, because it is a God-given opportunity that everyone, including women, are given to serve humanity. If we don't do that, it will be our collective loss, not theirs. On that note, Your Excellency, once again, I welcome you and your team, and I welcome all of you
to this year's International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon. Shall we have another round of applause?
And I must say that as a product of the premier university in the country, University of Ghana, I'm a bit jealous. I mean, you're getting all the accolades. If the chief of staff who's worked in Legon will back me up on a petition to the First Lady so that we have our own International Women's Day tomorrow. So I will give all the accolades of the University of Ghana. All of you here. You will hear us. But thank you. A round of applause for Professor Rita Dixon.
Well, as we await that petition, I would like to acknowledge the presence of some dignitaries here. Of course, the Mother of the Nation, Her Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Her Excellency, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Mrs. Samira Baumia. Honorable Akosia Fremont-Selpare, the first female Chief of Staff of Ghana, Lady Julia, wife of Asantehene Nanosetu II, our hostess, Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon. A round of applause for our dignitaries.
Trailblazing, energetic, and able. We can definitely say that our next speaker has inspired so many women and girls through her achievements. And she has shown that women can, and in fact are excelling in politics. Please, let's be upstanding as we welcome to the podium Ghana's first female Chief of Staff, Honorable Fremont-Selpare.
Your Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Your Excellency, the Second Lady, Hajia Samira Baumia. Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosia-Dixon. Your Excellency, Lady Julia Osei-Tutu, representatives of Asante-Hema, faculty members, teachers and students of institutions present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's a great honor to join you as we celebrate the 2022 International Women's Day, aimed at reflecting on breaking biases and inequalities that prevent women from achieving their full potentials. I wish to express my profound gratitude to Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic, for the opportunity granted me to grace this august occasion. I would also like to congratulate Her Excellency and her hard-working team for putting up this important initiative, together and mobilizing all of us to join hands in passing on the baton to younger generations like you seated here with us today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, research has shown that women have enormous impact on the well-being of their families and societies. but their potential is sometimes not realized because of discriminatory social norms, incentives, and legal frameworks. Although the status of most women has improved in recent decades, gender biases persist in many parts of our country. It is worthy of note that attaining a rightful place as female gender certainly does not happen automatically. A clarion call for all women to join hands through a renewed energy and to pursue equality together is therefore very timely. Ladies and gentlemen, successive governments in Ghana have mainstreamed various interventions towards gender equality. For instance, education is one of the most important aspects of human development, and eliminating gender disparity at all levels of education will help to increase the status and capabilities of women. According to UNESCO 2020 Gender Report on Ghana, enrollment of girls in senior high school over the years have increased. The free senior high school policy, as introduced by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, among others, have enhanced equality in education opportunities, which relates to the SDGs that seeks to promote gender equality and empowerment of women. However, there is still great gender disparity in higher levels of education, and for example, in subjects related to science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which we now call STEM. Ladies and gentlemen, bias against women in the workplace and how to tackle it also continue to be a major challenge. In Ghana, the majority of women are engaged in the informal sector of the economy. As such, they have no steady income and no social security. Even though women and girls carry the majority of care and domestic burden in every part of the country, they are less likely to be employed in the formal sector. And where they are employed, they tend to earn lower wages. Biases also in the political space, among others, remain a challenge considering the hostile political atmosphere in Ghana, which deters a lot of females from participating. The worst is that with this kind of hostile political atmosphere, women are less likely to be able to influence government policy. It is time for the younger generation to rise up, taking advantage of the favorable education policies and other programs of the Akufo-Addo government to advance themselves for higher level jobs. The global digitalization drive, which is vigorously being pursued by the government, allows for equal space, equal gender representation in access to information. And I hope we use this opportunity to access quality information that can advance our lives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can never end without celebrating the efforts of some great women who have stood toe to toe with men and have engaged victorious in their various fields of endeavor. It is refreshing, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to meet Professor Mrs. Rita Akosua-Dixon, here today, who happens to be the first female Vice-Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Ayeko. The appointment of the University of Ghana first female Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo, and many others are also good examples of female leaders of institutions, which is equally worth celebrating. And if I might say so, I'm grateful for the opportunity granted me by His Excellency the President to be the first female Chief of Staff. Therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we can do it. It is doable. But let's all join hands together and collectively break the gender bias in Ghana. Long live the International Women's Day. Long live our homeland Ghana. And I thank you sincerely for your attention. Thank you.
Another round of applause for the Chief of Staff. And a reminder that this is a special event to mark International Women's Day 2022 on the theme Break the Bias. Next is a poetry performance specially dedicated to International Women's Day. Please help me invite Menaye for this performance.
Okwan chari eso yebisa se opening hwan omayimu ba penin Your Excellency Emma mpenimfo ekunini ni enintini enimdifo Mwa mufri echichiri ni bencheye abetai enejumedie yase. Emma eni merima. Memamo atinase. As the writer who paints words on the pages of the souls of humanity, I bring you royal greetings from Odomankoma and Nananom. Mpenise as I sit here. Nansu nyame ono ni penyini yefre ni nyame efisi nyanoa ni nyame anansi kokroko a onwe ni wia sententan noto ebibiman fapem se asase so aheman obo ade a obo odaseni na abre a obo ade ebo odaseni no odi bibia ni mu odi achede bi hye ne nsa odi asodie bi to ne so yenina to be the best versions of ourselves, to unleash our potentials, to make our beingness and existence felt. And when Timpeni say, so oba kwa woswa, onyo oba, na oyo oba ba, anase oba benyini, nyamie ni sono, obo nipa, ni subain so, ene neseso. For whatever reasons that led to the limitations and biases in the imbalance, that is not a matter of discussion today. And you have to be able to more kesiye ni mum ekoya ye befa sama obade enumasem ayeho. Woman, I define her as the wonderful version of a man because she can be anything she can ever imagine with a good environment to grow and proper conditioning of the mind. So on this International Women's Day, I pose as a warrior to make a bold statement to the entire humanity that inside every woman is a strong desire, something so strong to be more. For indeed, truly, we are the warriors fighting to ensure the sustainability of humanity and the entire creation. So let's not be broken by the biases in the system. Let us amass our forces, energies, and break any barrier limitations, preventing us from being more. Imagine a world with no biases. Imagine a world with no discrimination, a world in which everyone is allowed to be more. And this is not a one-woman fight. Neither is it an all-woman fight, but for everyone created in the likeness and image of Odumankuma, Obadia, the Creator. It was divine when Dr. Agri said, the education of a woman is equated to the education of an entire nation. Yentem haya yo a man penifo kukodrufo omaye bi ediache njuma say ampa. If you educate a woman, you educate an entire nation. A man penifo mo konkodin mamu mo piafo moye bi. Strong women fighting to ensure the sustainability of humanity, for women to have smooth childbirth. Strong women being support and great pillars for other women to lean on to ensure their survival. Strong women sponsoring girl education. Strong women being inspiration to the young and the old. Nana Hima, what to say? Ne wajina kenten so atu kocha man say to man moja apite ohia mobro any enkasha home so. Indeed, you all have shown us that we are the only ones who can and must break the bias. I look out for positive visibility of women. I hope you celebrate the achievements of the other women together. Let us all challenge the status quo. Let us all challenge the bias, the stereotypes, and break every gender discrimination, for we are the only ones who can and must break the bias. We are the only ones who can and must break the bias. We are the only ones who can and must break the bias. If it's a bra or body a ball or the senino or the baby duanimu or the achedi bishen and sa or the atudi between so me wo yenina. To be the best versions of ourselves, to make our beingness and existence felt, to unleash our potentials. Midi eni ane na ye, ukwada bakana ye demeto hentesiasa fo. I believe strongly that we can make this world a better place by breaking the bias. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minaye. That was powerful indeed. Let me remind us that the program is live on GTV, on Net2 TV, City TV, Multi TV. Now, I'm sure we've all heard, or most of us have heard about the great work of our dear First Lady through her foundation, the Rebecca Foundation. Our First Lady has inspired and awakened a potent force to change in many women and girls, not just by her work as First Lady, but you must agree with me, also by her steady and calm demeanor. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to join you to welcome Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. She is the person under whose office and patronage we have this platform today. Kindly, let's give it up for the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you. And good morning to everyone here. Her Excellency, Mrs. Samira Bawumia, Honorable Frimo Osei-Opare, Chief of Staff at the Presidency, Lady Julia Osei-Tutu, Honorable Simon Osei-Mensah, Ashanti Regional Minister, Professor Rita Kusua-Dixon, Vice Chancellor, KNUST, Nananum honorable ministers and MPs, honorable MCEs and DCEs, faculty members, panel members, students, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The movement for gender equality, inclusiveness, and removal of biases has been a long-standing struggle. Many have sacrificed prominence, time, resources, and even limb and life to get us to where we are today. History shows that we have indeed come a long way, yet a lot more needs to be done. It is true, we have made substantial progress when it comes to education. However, gender disparities still remain. Again, women's representation is still lagging in politics. Our Constitution guarantees gender equality. However, women still face inequalities directly and indirectly through stereotypes and social practices. Simply put, gender equality before the law still does not translate into reality. We know conflict affects women and children the most, and yet women are largely absent from the peace table. Studies, however, show there is a 35% greater chance of peace agreements lasting 15 years when women participate. So if women are integral to peace, why do we largely exclude them from peace negotiations? Women are still paid less than men for the same work, yet their contributions to society is enormous. African women form the majority of farmers, educationists, and healthcare providers. My generations and generations before me have put in their time to address these biases. I salute all those women and men who have worked for a world of parity. It is now time for my generation to pass on the baton to the younger generation. You are now the front line for advocating for a gender equal world. We are behind you, supporting with our insights, resources, and years of experiences in the trenches. That is why this year we decided to have a much younger panel and audience for our International Women's Day discussions. As nature dictates, the old must always give way to the new. The Equality Front needs new blood, renewed energy, fresher perspective, and a new kind of hunger. The truth is some have fought to exhaustion, and some are no longer capable of the needed impatience or indignation at the obvious gender biases that still exist. But we have a generation that is presented with technology and immense possibilities for intense activism. At the touch of a button, at the click of an icon, you have access to the world, including decision makers and a network of like-minded global citizens. This was something that was unimaginable decades ago. It's time for you to negotiate your way to equality and the removal of biases. I have no doubt about your ability and hunger to do so. Your voice is integral to who you are. How you use it is vital to your becoming the person you want to be. Use your voices to create the change you want. Imagine the world you want to see and create the world for yourselves and generations after you. Leave your footprints in the sands of time. When the time comes, hand over the baton. Your experiences, your defeats, your triumphs will inspire another generation. We will get there, but only if we all work together. Because one thing is clear, bias is not normal. It is the antithesis of development. No amount of explanations, apologies, or excuses can make it right. Your talent, intelligence, drive, ingenuity, and determination qualify you for a place at a table. Your field of endeavor does not matter. What matters is that no one should stop you. As the American civil rights activist Philip Randolph puts it, freedom is never granted, it is won. I wish all of us fruitful celebrations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam First Lady, Your Excellency, Mrs. Rebecca Ekufuado. Please let the applause be louder. Today, we have put together a very special video to tell our story as women, and would like to have a look at that video and pick a few lessons and points from the video. If the video is ready, can we kindly have it played? Thank you very much. May I acknowledge the presence of Nana Hima, Paramount Queen Mother from Agogo traditional area. Please, a round of applause for Nana Hima. Thank you, Ma, for coming.
Makes you treat someone differently, unfairly, based on certain prejudices that one may have.
Gender bias is a situation where one is given unfair treatment because of one's gender. Mostly women are the victims in our society.
Let a man do it. This role is for men.
I recall right from the beginning, those who really do not know my background were wondering, why a woman for this male position? Because that's what the country has witnessed.
I need a man for this. Where are the men? It's a man's world. You're not fit for this position.
It's the way people even talk. They kind of brush off your suggestions. I've encountered people who say they won't vote just because some woman feel maybe a man should be the president.
You're very difficult. Get emotional. He will lead the negotiations. You're too ambitious.
Another thing is
when it comes to issues of politics, women don't speak as much, or women cannot speak as much on it.
I have older brothers who have been able to leave home and, you know, live on their own, because obviously reached ages where they should be living on their own. But in my case and my other sister's case, we have actually been asked to stay home until we are actually married.
I'm an avid motorcyclist. I ride a Harley Davidson. There's a certain sense that if you are a female riding, there are certain things that are associated with who you are. And these are general biases that a lot of women hear or have to endure when they need to live their best life.
I just have one question. Why have women been branded as the only people who can take up administrative roles?
There are undertones. It might not be as glaring as before because the fight for gender parity is more than before. We have so many days commemorating, like International Women's Day. So it's not as loud as it used to be, gender bias, but it's still there. Either your family is asking, oh, you're hitting 30, you should be getting married, or why are you not dating, or why are you too focused on your work?
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
I think that we have come a long way over the decades. The very fact that now, if I take my institution as an example, we have our first female chancellor, we have our first female council chair, we have our first female vice chancellor, we have a female registrar, and a host of other senior officers who are female.
The change is not happening as fast as we hope it to be. But I think conversations like this will push the change that we need.
We also need to get back to the drawing table. We are shouting from the top of our voices, International Women's Day, women should be empowered, but we should always look back, see how far we've come.
A program that I think a Ghanaian society must recognize is the free SHS. Every research in the past indicated that financing education was the barrier for female progress beyond the JHS.
I remember the situation where at the basic school level you have the senior prefect being a boy. No, that shouldn't happen. We need to provide the level playing field for both girls and boys to compete, and we get the very best.
We also realize that the stakeholders do understand that it's important to have women at the forefront of all kinds of, or at the table of all kinds of business and all kinds of activities. The challenge is actually getting the work done.
The First Lady, Her Excellency Mrs. Rebecca Ekufu-Addo, launched an initiative through her foundation, the Because I Want to Be initiative. This is poised on encouraging young girls who are underprivileged to maximize the full extent of their potentials.
We shouldn't forget about the fact that performance actually is a function of ability, opportunity, motivation. In spite of the fact that some women have great abilities, however, they cannot perform because we don't give them the equal or the needed opportunities. And if they are performing, they cannot upskill their performances because we do not motivate them.
I think consciously, women in positions such as I have should make an effort to do more, such that it will encourage the younger ones to feel I can aspire to be that. I can do it if Frema has done it.
We talk about women empowerment, which is important, but when you empower them from when they are very young, it makes the work easier. When somebody grows and you're now trying to let them understand women empowerment, what it means, and how women should empower other women, if you haven't been brought up like that, with that understanding, you can hear people say it, but it's not a part of you, it's not a part of your fabric.
The other thing is also not to be afraid to compete. When there is an opportunity for promotions, there's always the perception of if they may not give it to me. But I've seen men who, even though they don't even have the basic qualification to assess that position, they will still put their names forward. And so should the women. Put your name forward. If you are not considered today, you'll be considered tomorrow.
We, the men, should help contribute to helping women to offer or contribute their quota to developing our society.
I'm excited for the future of the girl child. I'm excited about how much potential and how much they can do, because there's nothing that they cannot do.
So to the girl child, you are amazing, you're beautiful, and there's so much out there for you.
You are good enough. You're more than capable for any position or job. You were born to lead. You belong at the top. It's okay to be ambitious. You're very competent. You're fit for this position. You will lead the negotiations. You deserve to be respected too.
Break the bias.
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 Together, let us break the bias.
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
Break the bias.
Break the bias.
Together, let us break the bias.
Through all the storms, I'm by your side.
And the message from the video is clear. The time to act is now. And we need an all hands on deck approach to break the bias. Give me a round of applause if you believe this is so, if you are committed to doing that. We'd like to at this point also acknowledge the presence of the paramount Queen Mother of Agogo, Nana Afrakoma Sewa Kusi Obwadom. Thank you for coming.
We also have in our midst the Queen Mother of Denyase traditional area, Nana Ichumuwa Bonin III. The Queen Mother, Paramount Queen Mother of Tepa, Nana Ejewa Pemu II is also here. A round of applause for Nana Kunama Dampong, Emprinso Paramount Queen Mother. Thank you very much for attending to us this day. Now we are breaking the bias. Shall we all see? We are breaking the bias indeed.
So we've heard the phrase break the bias so many times this morning, and I'm sure some of you have a lot of questions. So what are these biases? Why are they so ingrained in the Ghanaian society? Well, this part of the program seeks to contextualize, simplify, and analyze the phenomenon of gender bias in Ghana. They say that awareness of the problem is a first step to change. So how do we develop a better sense of awareness so we're able to call out these biases when we encounter them? That is what the panel discussion will be about. And I'm excited to tell you that our panelists are drawn from diverse backgrounds and they come with lived experiences that will enrich this conversation. So let's meet our panelists. Lamnatu Adam is a development practitioner with over 20 years experience in gender and human rights activism. She holds an MSc in local economic development and is executive director at Songtaba. Please welcome Lamnatu Adam. Our next panelist is an assistant lecturer at the Department of Statistics and Actuarial Science at the KNUST. Her aim is to inspire young women to enter careers in the captivating field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Round of applause for Sandra Adehene. Amtu Ameyakumfi is a student leader and an advocate for underprivileged people and inclusion of youth, women, and children. Amtu holds a degree in political science and French, and she is a professional makeup artist. Please help me welcome Amtu Ameyawe-Kumfi.
On the panel today, we also have Mami Ya Echa Mensah Bonsu. Mami Ya is a lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law and a senior associate at Eshong Benjamin and Associates. Her research interests lie in the area of gender rights, disability rights, and the intersection of gender, disability, and law. Shall we welcome upstage Mami Ya Echa Mensah Bonsu. Let's also welcome the Honorable Abena Osei Asari. She is the Member of Parliament for Itiwa East constituency. She is a chartered accountant by profession and the Deputy Finance Minister in charge of revenue of the Republic of Ghana, and a strong advocate for improving systems and processes to facilitate productivity. Let's welcome Honorable Abena Osei Asari to the stage. Thank you very much, ladies. So we are going to have our panel discussion, and we are going to set the ball rolling with Amtu. Amtu, as you've heard, is a student leader, and she has her own experiences. She has witnessed other people's experiences, and she is going to share them with us today. Amtu, I would like to ask you, you are in student politics, so we know that politics, the political climate in Ghana is not exactly favorable for women. Is it the same in student politics or worse, even with the expectation of women having to vie for women-inclined positions? How is the climate like in student politics?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for the opportunity, the First Lady and all the other distinguished guests here. So, as you rightly said, in a space like mainstream politics, it's unfortunate that we don't have like a very conducive climate for women. And it's not very different from student politics, because student politics is like the grooming ground where people move from that space into mainstream politics. So yes, it's very similar, and unfortunately it's more petty, I believe, from my experiences. It's more petty in student politics than in mainstream politics, because a lot of the time you have like people that have like more experiences, so they are able to endure. But for student politics, it's very, very bad. People go as far as speaking about petty things like what your dress looks like, who you are speaking to, and things like that. So it's very petty, and it's the same as mainstream politics.
Thank you for sharing, let me come to Abena Osei Asari. I'm sure you can relate with the experiences that have been shared by Amtu. How difficult is it navigating the hostile environment as a female politician at the national level?
Thank you very much. I want to stand on existing protocols and thank the First Lady and the organizers of this program, and also for giving me the opportunity to express my views concerning this. I can't agree with Amtumo. It's like that in the world, that in that space you have to fight to be heard, and your fight is not just a simple fight. You have to go beyond the normal as a female politician to enable your voice to be heard. I remember in 2010 there was a by-election in my constituency, and I decided to put myself up for. And at that time, they said, what is it that you can do, you think you can do, that the men haven't done or the men are not doing? One, you are too young, and two, you are female. Unfortunately for me, in 2010, I lost that primaries, but I persevered, and I had the support system. So in order for us to break this barrier, we should have a support system to help us break the barrier. One, I had a support system of the family. And that alone gave me that confidence that whatever I decide to do, irrespective of my age and my gender, I will be able to achieve that. So in 2012, the constituency was split into two. I contested again with 3 other men, and I was successful. So I will say that it's all about the perseverance and the family support, because you need that to give you that confidence. And beyond that, we expect society to also do more to support and break that bias. And fortunately for me, in 2019, when the University of Ghana Political Science Department decided to have an assessment on members of parliament, I was I placed 4th out of the 275 MPs that were assessed. And in terms of the female, I came first. So there is nothing that you can do when you set out to do it. But we need to create that system, that support that will help the ladies, as well as give them that confidence that they too can do all things that they set out to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I would quickly move on to Sandra. She is into STEM. So I'd like to ask you, what are the biases that we need to break in the education sector, especially with the education of women and girls, with the course of study and even the career path that they want to choose? Are there biases that you have identified in this regard that need to be broken?
Thank you very much, Regina. I'm very glad to be here this morning for this particular program. When I was actually growing up, I had a problem of people telling me that mathematics is a very difficult subject and I do not have to do it. So I have to go for courses that are a little bit softer and okay for women to do. When I was in primary school, I was very good at math, and that is what I wanted to do. My family members and a couple of people around me told me that, you know what, there are not a lot of females in the mathematics field. Have you ever heard of people or females who are into physics, chemistry, biology, or mathematics? You'll be deemed as very masculine. And this actually, along the line, it's actually, I actually wanted to leave the field and do something more softer as society deemed me to be. But I went ahead to do general science. And during the SS level 2, I was told to choose other subjects that would help me to come back to the house early and take care of the children. But I actually forged ahead to do courses that is related to mathematical sciences, where people see us to be very masculine and we don't really understand what we want. And there are lots of biases when you come to these fields of mathematics, because we have the perceived idea that male students are better than female students when it comes to the STEM subjects like the science, technology, the engineering, and the mathematics sciences. I have also had issues with the fact that I went for an interview about 3 years ago to be a female teacher in a private school. And when I was there, I was asked if I was married or not. I was asked if I had children, and I asked the recruiter, has me being married or have kids has anything to do with me being a mathematics teacher? And there's a possibility that one day you'll be in school and you'll be called that you have to come home and take care of your children. There is a possibility that you will get pregnant and wouldn't be able to come to school and teach the kids. So the fact that at that particular break, they would have to employ another person to come and take your position as a mathematics teacher in that field. And frankly speaking, it was very hurtful when I got home. I didn't get the job, though I wasn't married, but I didn't get the job. They actually chose someone who was a male to take up the job because they had that policy that within the 2 years that you get the job, you do not have to get pregnant. And that was a very serious issue for me, and I think that was one of the biases that I had issues with. And there's one last thing that I want to talk about is that I have been scouting around for accommodation for a while now, and then I chanced on one that I really liked, so I went into this woman's house to talk to her about the accommodation that I would want to have. And the first thing that she actually told the agent that is the person coming in a woman. We are looking for somebody who can clean and keep the house neat for us. So in this, I know my room and my place, that when I get into somebody's space or even in my own space, I'm supposed to clean it up. But because she said it out loud that she needed somebody like that, it has become more of the responsibility of the woman to clean the house. So I still have the perception that people still think that we are supposed to be the cleaners, the caretakers, the mothers, but we are not actually encouraged enough to do or probably study courses that are more masculine, hard, courses that are very difficult as we think. They feel like we are very vulnerable and soft. There are a lot of examples out here today that will help us break the biases. Thank you very much.
And Sandra, will hear more of these examples from your field of study. Let's come to Lamna to Adam. You're on the ground, on the field. You are executive director at Somtaba. You work up north. Share with us the dynamics of gender bias in your field of work. How devastating is it?
Thank you very much. And I want to start by saying Assalamu alaikum and bring you greetings from up north. And I want to appreciate the First Lady and the office for having me to be part of this. Gender bias is quite intense. If you're working closely with people in our communities. From where I am coming from, we have issues of male dominance and patriarchy. And let me say that some of the bias that women, and for that matter girls, go through are quite systemic. You will hear that in northern Ghana, for that matter in northern region, we are playing host to so many alleged witches camps. And I keep asking, why is it that out of whatever numbers of women or people that are accused, we have as much as 98% of them being women? And why are they aged? And I ask again, what is it that when it comes to women, the belief is that she's using her power to destroy? But when it comes to men, he is using his power to guard the society, to protect the home. I think that's a serious bias that we need to call out. And to say that women are afraid of getting old in our communities. I'm happy we have our First Lady here, and I think that that's a serious issue that we need to deal with. Nonetheless, why are women always seen to be at the back? All because we are told to be submissive, all because we are always to report and to seek permission from our male brother, even if we are older than the brothers. In our families, they say we should wait for the man before we make the decision. Even as old as we are, but the younger man or boy is the one to make the decision. All of this is a serious bias. And I want to say that it's about time that women took the space, that women can also deliver. A lot of the time we hear that she's just a housewife. She's not doing anything, but she cleans the house. She nurtures the children. She does all of that money may not be able to pay. How much does it cost for those of us that travel to have your shirt washed in our hotels? Yet the woman does everything and she's still referred to not doing anything. And you know, if she's not able to have time for herself, then she cannot contribute even to decision making. And all of the thinking that she cannot do anything will also not let her be able to take up any space that is available in terms of leadership. We hear when women want to go further, then they say that she's actually or probably a witch or she's a prostitute, especially if she's in a male-dominated position as we see in our parliamentary and district level elections. And so women are doing so much, and it's good that society first recognize that the role that women are playing is very important so that they can help us to reduce the workload of women and girls and redistribute the gender roles that is further, strengthen the gaps between men and women. And also let me add that isn't it about time that as we are calling for the bias, that we should also urge our political leaders to get committed in passing the affirmative action bill. Thank you.
It's interesting that Lamnatu has mentioned the affirmative action bill. It's one of the oldest bills, and a lot of activists are looking for the day or waiting for the day when they would hear that it has been passed into law. But let me come to you, Mami, because we're talking about law. We place a lot of premium on the affirmative action bill. Does the law in of itself guarantee an end to discrimination, bias, and stereotyping?
Thank you for the question, and thank you, First Lady and her office for the invitation. I was very surprised to be called. So to answer your question, I don't think that any lawyer would say the law answers all questions. It's impossible. The law itself sometimes can create problems. And I'll give you a most recent example. The Land Act 2020, in Section 47, it restricts transactions involving land by spouses and says you cannot transact, even lease, mortgage, property that was acquired during marriage without the written consent of your spouse in the absence of a prior written agreement. Now, how many spouses can be writing contracts? I will not sell without your knowledge. I will not. And so in trying to, I suppose, sometimes when we take steps in the law to protect women, because you can see clearly that it was to prevent men from selling on the sly so that women would not be dispossessed. You are also disadvantaging women who have the power to buy land. And for some people, they have to hide these things from their men because their men don't want them to be empowered. So now you've taken an avenue away from a certain group of women who needed that channel to protect themselves. So the law can sometimes create problems. Now, if you go to the affirmative action bill, I always say that affirmative action is like a double-edged sword. It cuts right because it puts women where women must be. We have to have representation. It is important. Seeing women actually work their way to the top is important. But it can also be a negative. It can also cut negatively in the sense that it can create the impression that women need extra support to get there. Otherwise, we couldn't have gotten there without that help. So when you say something like, and typically in Ghana, affirmative action policies look like, this is a board of so-and-so corporation, one of whom must be a woman. One of whom must be a woman. So you're legislating the position. So there's always going to be a woman. But very often you find it will be one woman, because that's the one that the law says. So the minimum is met. Or you will find that there will be a woman who is not competent, only because the law says find a woman, so they will find a woman. As to whether the woman is competent is a different matter. So it is possible to even use the same mechanism to defeat the aim, because you can deliberately hire somebody who is not competent, so that you can say, you see, we gave the women a chance, they didn't do anything. It is possible to manipulate the system even with affirmative action. Or, and as I was explaining in other areas, the problem is not so much affirmative action as sometimes the higher up you go, the fewer women you will meet. So where are the women to put there? So affirmative action is top down and is brilliant. It has to be done. But the greater work, I think, comes from the society, the sociocultural space, the bottom up. Fill those spaces this way, and then you can put affirmative action on top. Then you'll find competent women in the correct places. Otherwise, you're just putting on paper great things that will operationalize to the effect that you want for women.
Thank you very much, Mami. I will put the next question to Honorable Abina Ose Asari. I would like to ask a very simple question. Where do we find the balance between affirmative action and tokenism so that we are able to maintain a certain standard even for women who are looking to be appointed into positions?
Sometimes in all these biases, they never talk about competence. So that is not even something that is on the table. They don't talk about competence at all. It's just the gender issue. And so if we go beyond that and start looking at competence, irrespective of the gender, I believe that we have very capable women who are competent enough to fill positions and then fill, the big sports that we have. So the discussion should be more about competence. And in asking for competence, we have a lot of women here as examples. Our first lady, our second lady, Lady Julia, our own and one and only chief of staff, who has been the chief of staff for the first term of the president and the second term as well. It's never happened. So in terms of competence, it is there. I believe that the affirmative action bill is one of the systems or one of what we can use to sort of bridge that gap. But it's not the solution in itself, because the biases are so endemic such that if we don't work on them, the affirmative action bill alone cannot solve the problem. We know women, by our biological nature, we are supposed to procreate and give birth to children. Yet in the office setting, when someone sees a woman pregnant, sometimes the comment they pass, to wait, you are always pregnant. They say that, and some people are not able to stand those things. They end up being at home and then they lose their jobs in the end. And then for those of us who are able to do the 9 months and then we do our 3 months of maternity leave, getting back into to the work or the agency or the organization is one of the most difficult things for women. Because sometimes, if it's in a man's world, you are left behind. Trying to reintegrate back into your office space is not easy. So I believe that apart from the affirmative action bill, systems should be put in place to support such reintegration back to office after the woman has given birth. You look at a whole institution like Parliament. Consistently, for the female MPs, if you have children and you are supposed to take part in parliamentary duties, you have to leave the child at home and come. But in this modern age, where we have technology defining the workspace, I think that we should take it up and make sure that we give access to female parliamentarians online to enable them discharge their duties when they have to take care of children. I remember in 2 terms ago, I had my last child in Parliament, and then I was on the Public Accounts Committee. We were traveling from region to region, and I was also determined to do the 6 months exclusive because I wanted my son to come out well. And so everywhere we went, I had to carry this boy along with me, and I was at the mercy of people to prepare his porridge, his food for me, and that is difficult for most women. Some are not able to go that line, and then they end up leaving the job space. That's how come we don't have enough women in the formal space. In the informal space, our women fill up most of the spaces in the informal space, but we want to see more of our women in the formal space. So that is why I'm asking that we should put systems in place to support our women to also push hard and get to the various positions that we feel they are capable of filling. So I believe that it's not just the affirmative action bill, but we should put the systems, the right systems in place to support our women in this regard.
You've talked about the world of work in your submission, and I'm going to Sandra now. You talked about the world of work in your submission. Sandra, you work in a field that's male-dominated. You shared your experience, how people were discouraging you from going on that tangent. Has there been any moment, have you needed or felt that you needed to work harder to prove yourself in your field of work so that you are respected and taken seriously by your male colleagues?
Thank you very much. Yes, there have been a couple of times that I have had these issues of proving myself over and over again that I can do something that a male can also do. Because the field that I'm in is more of a male-dominated, so that's the mathematical sciences. So anytime that people see a female around, mostly what they say is, sorry, hey, obapa na oye mathematics related subjects. Sometimes if you are somebody who cannot take these kind of things as a compliment, it becomes a bit of a problem and you may decide to even opt out at all. Quite recently, about some few years ago, I had to do some data analysis with a friend that we had to go in for a workshop. And I think the lady before me came in to do her presentation with her team. So when we got into the hall, we were told to do the presentation, but the master of the house asked me, who is going to do the presentation today? I said, I am. He said, you have to call the male to come in to do it because the lady that came before you didn't do a good job. So my presentation was based on somebody else's presentation she had already done and left. And the point is that I really wanted to stop the whole program and go home because I was really hurt. But there was a male that was with me that day and he was like, Madam, you did the work. Go ahead and do it. And nobody can tell you what to do. Prove to them that you are a female and you can do as much as the male also can do. So this is one of the challenges that I have faced. I have to prove myself over and over and over again that I can do it. I belong in the mathematical sciences. There have been people there who have proved themselves, and I think that I can also prove myself.
Thank you, Sandra. This is your question. Now, there are some biases that we often overlook and not see as bias, even as women. For example, if you have a boss and you are going for a presentation, they could easily tell you, dress this way, show a little cleavage, and we don't even see anything wrong with that. What is your position on sexism as a student politician? How does that come into play during, the campaigns?
So, as you rightly said, these are things that don't just exist in the corporate world. They exist in student politics as well. So, I've had different examples. Even, for example, let's say local SRCs, when there's a sponsorship committee, you see that when you go out for the event, the president or the secretary, your male counterpart, or you take the lead so that supposedly the man is attracted. Even have some male politicians or big men say to you that, if you want to get to me, use the women to get to me. It's very, very petty, and they might be telling you the truth, but I mean, my male colleague has a phone as well. He has a paper as well. If he has to write to you, he can write to you. So if you reduce, you are not asking me to write to you because you feel that I am the competent person or I have the information that you need. You are only asking me to write to you because you supposedly want to just reduce me to the position of it's a woman, it's how your body looks, it's who I want to speak to. And unfortunately, it exists a lot in politics. And like Lawyer rightly said, it shouldn't just be bottom up. It should be it shouldn't be top to the bottom, it should be from bottom up, because I feel that the social construct has made our minds like that. In as much as we are trying to take responsibility for our actions as women, I feel that every single time we are reminded of this is what you are supposed to do. So before Me Too action, you have someone come to work and say, oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my husband. Did I tell you I want to be your girlfriend or your wife or something? I probably have someone like that who might not be happy hearing you say things like that. It's very petty to the men that do that, but for us as women, I don't think anyone is comfortable with it. And I've engaged with some members of parliament and things like that, and even on their level, they experience it. And then they say that no matter how much you try to emphasize that, I do not want it, you have another man coming to say, wait, I not you, or she would shout on you and things like that. And I don't think it's right. Also, I think it's because we don't talk about it as much, that we are not comfortable. We don't want it to be done. For the student politics space, people go as far as if you don't go and sleep with this particular senior or how they even call them, kingmaker, or move to this kingmaker, you are not going to make it, things like that. For me, running for a female position, it was even worse, because they feel that because they are running for women's commissioner and probably your opponent has done it or your predecessor has done it, so you have to also do the same, otherwise it's not going to happen for you. And it's very, very, very stressful. I don't know, I just have, running for this particular position, I encountered so much, and I felt that it pushed me to want to do more. Someone saying that it's just women's commission you are going for, and you are branding yourself like this. It's just women's commission you are going for, and you are investing so much in flyers. So because I'm running for women's commission, I do not deserve to give my best. Nobody, like we have presidential debates for people that are running for presidential debates. Nobody is thinking of having presidential debates for people that are running for secretaries. I'm saying secretary because it's a position that a lot of the time women run for. But then the conversation about secretary is, oh, does she have
the tide? And there's all important conversation. Let me start with you, Mami. You're talking from a legal perspective, the need for laws to be there, but also so these laws do not necessarily entrench the very problems we're trying to solve. What solutions would you prescribe for us to be able to deal with gender biases and then make inroads in our quest for gender equality?
I'll take it from the point of disability and law, because those are my research interests. In certain spaces, the problem is not with the written law. It's in how the law takes effect. So we'll find that sometimes the biases are not male, female type of biases, but even between certain kinds of females. So for women with children with disabilities, and I'm one of them, you don't have any extra allowance for the fact that your child has a disability. So it doesn't matter how severe the child's disability is, you are treated on the same level as other women, which in itself is a problem. Because what you need, we talk about maternity leave and going back to work, what you need to put in place for your child with disabilities, my son can't see, can't talk, can't walk, that kind of child, to create a safe space for the child so they can go back to work, takes far more than it did for my daughter, who can do all of these things. So even within females, there's a bias towards women who have average or typically growing children. And in gender discourse, we could say it's a patriarchal agenda to, when you are achieving the aims of the patriarchy, which is procreation and creating typical children, there's support. When you're not creating typical children, you're on your own. So there are biases that affect even within the women space. Certain women are not represented. Childless women are not represented by the law. If you adopt a child, you don't get maternity leave because you didn't carry the child yourself. But you still have to create a safe space for the child. So even among certain kind of women, there must be a recognition that we cannot treat all alike. And so even with the rights, there have to be nuances to their rights so that we can create spaces where every kind of woman can thrive. And for mothers of children with disabilities, the research shows that predominantly we are single parents. So you have several layers of difficulty to deal with. And so all of these, if we understand the challenges facing such women, the sociocultural issues, discrimination, stigma, all of that factored into our workspaces, then our laws can make more meaning for all kinds of women. That would be best.
Thank you. I'll move on to Lamnatu now. What solutions do you have, or how do we deal with the biases that you have identified? This question is for Lamnatu. How do we deal with the biases that you have identified within our communities where you mostly work, especially by virtue of our cultural and traditional settings?
Thank you. I think that the change must start with us, all of us here. We should reflect among ourselves. In what ways are we being biased, even in our homes? How are we distributing, for example, household chores between boys and then girls? In our communities, we should not look back when we identify some of these biases that are going on. And so the change is going to start with us as individuals, and then people will see it reflecting in our community, in our families, and then others can see it and emulate. If you look at some of the systemic issues that are challenging women, some of them are just about our social norms. And for me, I want to call out to our traditional and religious authorities that it's about time we perhaps look at what are some of the norms that are positive that we should continue, to uphold, and what are some of the norms that we think are degrading. Our religious bodies have, so much space in our sermons, in their sermons. We should keep hammering that, look, this that is going on is a bias towards the female gender, and we must stop it. And then also, I want to call out to the media, because for me, I think that this whole month is a gender month, and they must dedicate all the space they get to talk about the biases that are affecting women and girls. And for me, I think when we begin doing this, the change will come gradually, but it will be within us. Thank you very much.
Sandra, for the difficulties you faced because you decided to be a woman in STEM, what would you suggest as solution so that other girls, and there are a lot here who are listening to you, wouldn't have to go through the same difficulties as you did?
Thank you very much. I think that the first call, the child's place, actually socialization starts from the home. So we have to start from our various houses. Try to encourage these girls to come up to like these courses. And before I answer any more questions, as we are breaking the biases, we are also supposed to do the hashtag of the women in these fields, especially in the science fields. In my department, for instance, we are 3 females. Before we came on board, we had only 1 female in my department, who is the head of department now. Her name is Mrs. Professor Adibanji, and she's here. I would really like to say thank you for giving us that opportunity that we would all be able to go ahead and do as she has done. And then KNU Institute, there is a woman in science, that is women in science, technology, engineering, and also in the house here, that would encourage you to know that there are lots of women who are into physics, there are lots of women who are into mathematics, there are lots of women who are into engineering and then technology. There are lots of examples out there. You first have to know what you want to do, and do not let anybody discourage you. There are mentors there that are willing to help. When you have any other questions, if you have any other difficulties, ask questions. be able to understand what is the field of somebody in mathematics, what's the field of somebody in science and technology. And then we would also like the men to take us very serious, because we are. The fact that we are women in mathematics doesn't make us masculine. It makes us feminine in the field that we want to make it soft for the other girls who are also coming up. So be encouraged. We are here and we will help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Throughout the conversation, we've heard how other women's performances have gone to affect the potential of others. So my question to you, Honorable Abena Mosea-Sari, is how do we ride on the achievement of women who have been there and done it to pave the way for those who may want to follow same path, especially in politics?
Thank you. I think that first and foremost, when we see women who have achieved so much, that should give us hope that we too can make it happen. So the first and foremost thing that I believe that we can use our women achievers in the formal sector to speak to is hope. Once you have hope that you can do it, yes, you can do it too. I also want to say that society should be more tolerable to women opinions. Sometimes when women are bold and assertive, they say you are rude. When women pay attention to details, they say you are fussy. It happens most of the time in the corporate world. And then they tend to brand women as too emotional, where that too emotional means you're unreasonable. But it's just that you want to pay attention to detail and get the best out of the situation. It's just that you want to be bold and assertive to carry out your point. And I want to tell the young people here that there's nothing wrong with being bold and assertive. There's nothing wrong with being paying attention to detail, because in the corporate world, that really saves you a lot of trouble. And so these qualities will help you in the end. So irrespective of how society sees it, I believe that society should be more tolerable to women's opinions. Sometimes on the table, on the same table, you make a point coming from a woman, the way it is accepted is not the same as will be accepted if a man uses that same point that you have spelled out on the table. And sometimes it hurts. But let us continue to persevere, because women are known to persevere in all situations. We look at the Asantwa, we look at Sewa Jabi, we look at, and we see a lot of these things around us. So let all these people give us hope, and then let we ourselves also push and persevere. I remember the first time I went in to get the forms, I wanted to do ACCA. Previously, when I completed SHS, you'd have to stay at home for 2 years before you go to the university. So I wanted to do something to occupy me in those 2 years. So I ventured into writing the professional exams. And then when I went to one of the schools, the proprietor said, you want to do ACCA? And I'd rather give you marketing. And then I went back home and I told my father, said, didn't you tell them you are Abna? He always encourages me. So we need our men to encourage us. Didn't you tell him, you are Abna and then you can do all things? Eventually, I moved to another school and I was able to do it. Within 5 years, I finished the university and then completed my ACC as well. So I just want to give you hope that if somebody has been able to do it, you can do it. We want our men, we want our women to encourage us. You are Ama, you are this, you are that, and you can do it. If other people have done it, then clearly you also have what it takes to do it too. Society, I should say again, should be more tolerable to women's opinions, because in being bold and assertive, we are trying to get our points across. In paying attention to detail, we are saving all of us from something that if we hadn't done that would have slipped by and caused problems. So today, I want to use this opportunity to tell you that there is hope, and the hope is what you see in the women you have here and the women sitting there. Once we all have been able to do it, you also will be able to do it. Thank you.
Finally, let's hear your take on how we can change the narrative.
So I believe that it comes down to society. I think that we should be able to unlearn and relearn. We should be prepared to accommodate women, like the minister said, such that I believe if we are able to do that, younger people are going to see that, they are going to recognize that there are people there and then they didn't get there because they weren't competent or they were all those other bad perceptions. So if we are able to unlearn and relearn, we're going to be able to see more inclusion, we'll see more representation, and say in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have more than 40 women in parliament, would have women as all the ministers on some of the very, very important positions and in cabinet and all, and not just deputy ministers. We'll have women not just being deputy CEOs themselves. So I would end by saying that representation is important, because when someone my age or someone younger than me is sitting there and is watching me here, the person can directly assume that soon, in 3 to 4, 5 years, I can be this person. So representation is very, very important, and we need society to encourage us to do this.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our panelists. We are going to move into the audience now and take a few interventions, and I'll start with Nana Hima, Paramount Queen Mother of Agogo traditional area, who has been doing some work within the cultural and traditional setting with young girls. I would like her to tell us about the work she's doing with these young girls and how it's going to positively impact their lives. Thank you very much, Nana Hima. A round of applause for Nana Hima, please.
In my area, first of all, I have to thank the President's wife, Vice President's wife, First Lady Julia Osetutu, and the rest of the panel, and also everybody who is here, that you invited me to this occasion. My area, I call the girls and I educate them. They should be on their books, because without education you are nothing, especially when you are a girl. Titino na yenana nomno emfa emma enko school, because emma education is important, but nowadays emma education is very, very important. Remember no, it's not say your boy young a member and a woman intino. They be a member no one any chain a man. But what I would advise the girls to do, a man say, Ubia engine hona, Usia dear, send a bear, dachi, obekonenim, many STC like we are saying, say, a member no afire so, and the BBA, nay a member. But what men can do, no, women also can do. Madam Ossi.
We have a number of young people here, so let's take an intervention from one of them. Lisa Marie Ukanse Delasi Kaki, member of the debaters team at St. Monica's Secondary School. Let's hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols duly observed. My name is Lisa Marie Ukanse from St. Monica's Senior High School, and I'm really honored to be able to also stand before you all and share my opinion and of course ask some questions on gender bias. I would first like to start by saying that feminism is about giving women not just one choice but several choices, and that feminism is not about using it as a stick to beat other women. So I want to ask why we as women ourselves bring other women down. Why is it that we see our impediments as our weaknesses when we can actually see them as our strength? Because just because you are able to communicate doesn't make you any less or makes you a secretary because you can write. It's because you are competent. And the question is, who are we trying to prove our competence to, and who are we letting define our confidence? So we should just understand that these are not impediments. Saying from Margaret Thatcher that when you want something said, you call for a man, but when you want something to be done, you can call for a woman. Thank you.
We have learned today here that as we want to break the bias and also change the narrative, we need to carry the men along to be able to understand where we are coming from and where we are going. And so we have a young man here who is in our audience, and he's going to share his thoughts on the discussion that we are having today. Emmanuel Bedu-Ba, BY410, from Opokowari Secondary School debate team.
I'm very honored to be in this audience to share my visions and what I know about this. I can't remember when I was in class 4, I lost the first position to a female, and I was very, very furious. But that wasn't the first time I was second. In fact, I had had much worse positions than that. But the difference this time was that I was second to Yafra Kuma, a lady, a female in fact. Yes, because the society that we are in makes us to understand that as a male, you have to be better than a female in almost every aspect, well, except with the chores. Yes, so it didn't even end there. When I came home that day, my parents questioned me why on earth I made them to pass me in an exam. And can you bear my prayer? So you see, in something like this, in a situation like this, what mentality would I be growing up with? What would be in my mind? What did my parents teach me on this day? That as a man, you have to be better than a female? Oh no. You see, I also live in the house with my younger sister, who's very, very good when it comes with management. Give her something small and she will be able to utilize it to do a lot of things. But me, oh, I would squander everything. So now supposing that he has a company, and then somebody is to, take after my father or manage this company, and I'm taking ahead of my sister just because of her gender. Wouldn't that be unfair? Because technically in that aspect she's better than I am. So I call. Me personally, I am going to ensure that I stand for women wherever I am. I'm really starting with my sister. My sister wanted to just do something, so I said no. If you want to even do nursing, you wouldn't end with a diploma. Get a degree and then the PhDs and others. I want to also hear that you are the brother of this, that. Yes. Because when we look here, we see the auditorium beautiful with the flag of Ghana. And it was designed by a female, if I'm correct. So it means that even Ghana, from the onset, females has been a part of us. And we have to uphold them. I support break the bias. Thank you very much.
Let's now give the final intervention to our host institution. We have Hannah, who is a student at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Hannah's over here.
Hi, I'm very honored to be here this afternoon. Sorry. Okay, so my name is Hannah Jaman, a second-year student of this prestigious university reading Bachelor of Arts, Media and Communication Studies. So a lot has been said, and over the years we are all aware that gender biases, as we say, emanate from our traditional setup. So if you are trying to break the bias, it means that we need to start from the roots. Our traditional setup charges the man right from birth to take leadership roles, and the girl or the woman is told to stay back whilst the men lead. It's seen everywhere in our in our political space, socially, even educational system, we see it. So, if it's not for the traditional setup and the patriarchal nature of our society, how would somebody say your choice of running mate suggests that you don't take Ghanaians seriously just because the running mate is a female? But this is a woman who has gone through the mill. This is a woman who has achieved academic laurels and has risen to professions which are of importance. So we need to break the bias starting from our mindsets and our patriarchal system. The other thing is that socially we need to work on ourselves on how these traditional norms, how do I term it, how these traditional norms, stereotypes to women, even in our health system, if a woman is not able to give birth, the problem is from the woman, not the men. And even in our religious system, intentionally we have put limits on where a woman can get to when it comes to our religious system. And it looks as if when it comes to our religious system, women are the best hosts for these evil spirits, because all women does in our religious sector is to host evil spirits for destruction. And it is so funny. A woman is more than this. So we need a mindset change of who a woman is and who a female is. Even in the educational system, when you read most of African novels, how male writers describe women, it's so heart-wrenching. You will find somebody like Chinua Achebe saying a woman is a cook steward, a sex aide, a listening post, and these are all things that subconsciously gets into the minds of young writers. So going forward, they know that this is your place in the world, so you need to be there. And so going forward, like I said, we need a mindset change of who a woman is. I was a leader in secondary school, and I was a deputy girls prefect. Anytime a visitor comes to the school, who is the school prefect, even if my head girl is not there, she doesn't even count. By default, is the male who is the head. So in the educational system, we are telling the boys and the girls growing into potential fathers, potential CEOs, potential accountants, potential presidents that, look, you don't have to carry the woman along. You are up for this. The woman just have to remain in the kitchen. So we need to challenge the status quo and interrogate this patriarchal system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and to all our interventionists for those very insightful and brilliant submissions. I'd like to, at this point, thank our panelists. You've done a yeoman's job, and we are grateful that you were here to discuss this. Thank you so much. You may return to your seats. It's a special International Women's Day event, and at the auspices of the Office of the First Lady, we're talking about the theme, Break the Bias. I'm sure we've learned a lot today, haven't we? We definitely have. And just to summarize the key takeaways from the panel discussion you just heard, a number of the panelists talking about the need for us to have that support system. Family support system is very crucial. We also need mentoring, especially for the young ladies who are coming up. They need to see their role models and then learn from them. And of course, I appreciate the fact that Sandra is saying that we are open, we are ready to listen to you, bring your questions to us. So mentoring is very critical. And then I cannot do a takeaway without talking about the need for the media, because I'm in the media. And I do understand that we need to do more as practitioners, as journalists. We need to sustain our coverage of key issues that affect women and girls. Yes, we understand the news cycle, but we also have to make provision for such important issues as affect women, girls, and children in the country.
Thank you very much, Regina. And of course, another key takeaway is the fact that the change starts from us. So as individuals, we need to be conscious of the steps we take towards breaking the bias and towards changing the narrative. Let's start from our homes. Let's start with people we know within our communities, and especially in the cultural settings where we have chores that are reserved for girls to do. We need to begin to change all that so that girls begin to feel that they are equal to men, and whatever they set their hearts to, they can achieve. We would like to say a very big thank you to all of us here in this auditorium who joined the program, and we would like to thank those who are watching us on television and following the program on social media. Thank you once again to our sponsors, NLA, Fidelity Bank, CBG Ghana, Ghana Free Zones Authority, Volta River Authority. We are so grateful and we thank you so much. We hope that you take a few points and ponder over as we break the bias.
We're also very grateful to Latex Foam and Golden Tree for supporting this all-important program. My name is Regina Bote, and that is Fatih Shaibu. It's been an honor being here today, and I said this was the best decision you could have made for International Women's Day. And I'm sure you've proven that, haven't we? Give yourselves a round of applause for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you next year. Our message is simple. Go out there and break the bias. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now take a performance from Ejako to give us a cultural performance and enjoy ourselves as we bring the program to a close. Thank you very much. Do have a wonderful afternoon and go out there and break the bias.
An old woman over 90 was seen one morning planting coconut tree in her backyard garden. Her grandson had a query. Nana, what you are doing puzzles me. You're over 90, and you know it takes quite a time for coconut tree to come to fruition. And if you live beyond that age, in all humility, you might not have the dental capacity to enjoy it. Do you think you will live to enjoy the fruits of your labor, Nana? The old woman smiled, said, I know I wouldn't live to enjoy the fruits of my labor, but I'm planting the coconut tree for you and children yet unborn. This is the title of the song, Akuredi Yokubi. Akuredi Yokubi. Mitro kakamyo, minro kakamyo. Kakamyo po kwa mwasi anasyo. Odom sesre kusia na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe na sio. Oh kuya na simuno mfwe na sio. Mitro kakamyo, minro kakamyo. Kakamyo po kwa mwasi anasyo. Mitro kakamyo, minro kakamyo. Kakamyo po kwa mwasi anasyo. Odom sesre kusia na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe. Na simuno mfwe na sio. Obia ana simuno mfwe na sio. Mefuni yose juma, Sheni yose juma, Sheni yose juma. Yebwo, obisidoni onyewo. Mefuni yose juma. Said your mama friend,
you said your mama funny, you said your mama.
I said your mama shiny,
you said your mama shiny, you said your mama. Oh, the boy, oh, this is not your now. The funny, you said your mama. Oh, the boy, oh, this is not your now. The funny, you said your mama.
What you want to fear your own war? Lord, you could be when a fishy flume. None of us as an Anna. You want your dream? Could be Yana and to a Chenny. Was the Abana now, dear? Minister Anthony. Na wunti na media eni chirima na refie ni fie
oso kokora mafo refie
If you're
I'm so good for a mouthful. Let's be what are you?
I said to be the idea wasn't a memono. You can't find no charoma. As you can get through so by. You can keep on fapping. You come from more than before.
You're more than before.
Break a seat, more than before.
I did them. What are you?
And when you mean you're chino, I know you're so for 2 1 or Jabba. Nana children on him for people, the idea. Prampe odi kan breso no. Ekere si abrofo de ehunhun ba man yi mu. Na ntem de hwe aguro. Ye chire ko se share su poso. Nana ya santewa. Ma chire prampe ko. Asige gwaso mo bepe. Santewa okwayiku.
Okoyiko, oba the shoulder from one day, why did you? Okoyiko, oba the shoulder from one day, why did you? I tell them,
Papa. Man, you can't say, to say. What you for say? Oh, you for February 6th, if you ever get in him, then Kayama. A man is saying, Santiwa ukweko mayene
okweko obana shoja
premone ayedelo
odeyo
ekwaye yo Asantiwa ukweko
obana shoja premone ayedelo
Obayiko, Baba Shoja Premone, why did you? yo. Santua Oguayego, Santua Premone, Santua Oguayego, Mayene, Santua Premone. Thank you. I will end with a quotation by the late Kofi Annan. To live is to choose. And to choose well, you must know who you are, what you stand for in life, where you want to go, and why you want to get there. Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to understand the life, respect women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's now time to take some photos, and we'll go in this order. Kindly indulge me. We'll have all our dignitaries upstage to take the photograph. So we'll have Her Excellency, the First Lady, upstage. We would have Honorable Frema Opare upstage. We'll have our Second Lady, Mrs. Amira Baumia, upstage. We have all our dignitaries upstage to take the photograph. I'll mention who comes next as we go along. So our dignitaries will be on the stage to take the photographs. Thank you very much. Our Queen Mother should also be getting ready. You come up next after this.
The panelists. Okay, after the Queen Mother, you call the panelists.
Please, the Queen Mother should join the dignitaries.
Every day in the mirror I see a woman.
Queen Mothers.
And every time I look in my mind I see a woman. A wonderful
Our panelists should be getting ready.
an African woman, mother of nature, beautiful woman, beautiful woman. Me oba, bibini ba.
Our panelists should be getting ready. I think you need to take off your masks.
Wonderful woman.
Thank you to our Queen Mothers.
Beautiful woman.
Our sponsors, if you are here, please be getting ready. Our sponsors, if you are here, you want to take off your masks. Our sponsors might be joining our dignitaries. Thank you. St. Monica's girls, please come.
I see you.